Hello, this is Heather Hoffman, and I've got a final card to share with you using the July 2021 Kit of the Month from Unity Stamp Company. I'm going to make a shaker card, and we're going to do that by stamping on heat-resistant acetate. Kind of a fun effect. But before we start on that, I've pulled off that bird image and everything, and then I have a piece of watercolor cardstock, and we're just going to watercolor a bit of a background here. I'm doing some blue, just different blue tones, and then a little bit of green at the bottom to kind of mix together to make a soft background. I'm using my Daniel Smith watercolors. Anything will work for this. You could even color a background with Copic markers. You could use pattern paper. This part's not hugely important. It had just been a while since I had created a watercolor background, and it kind of sounded like it would be fun. So I decided to incorporate that into this card as well, just by blending those colors together. All right, I set that aside to dry and cleaned off my desk. Now to create the shaker portion, I pulled out, these are some Simon Says Stamp nested ovals, and I picked a size that just kind of closely fit and cut out a window. And then I've pulled out my acetate, and again, it's very, very, very important for this if you're gonna heat emboss, make sure it's heat resistant. There's a couple different brands on the market that you can find, but you're really gonna wanna confirm that that's heat resistant or you're gonna have some problems. All right, I used that circle, the negative space to line up my stamp image. Then I used a powder tool very generously on there. Acetate can be pretty staticky, so it's really tough to make sure nothing sticks where you don't want it. So make sure and use that really well. And then I stamped twice, making sure to use my magnets in my MISTI to hold that in place. Originally, I thought I would stamp that in white, but as I sat and looked at it, I thought, you know what, this would be really pretty in gold. So I sprinkled over some gold embossing powder, and then I have a clean and dry, also very important, a little bit of a brush that I'm just brushing any excess bits off. And I'm also cleaning my desk because it tends to get everywhere. The acetate just kind of flings it around. And then I pulled off that backing paper and made sure I didn't have any acetate or embossing powder sticking on the back of that acetate. As you can see there, it doesn't take very long for the heat tool to melt that on the acetate. So I just try and be really careful to go over it quickly and not rest too long and make that acetate warp or anything. All right, so I checked my placement there behind my oval window. I added some score tape, good sturdy adhesive around it, and then I can just place that over that image. And then you'll notice it didn't line up perfectly, and it's not a problem. I only put the adhesive right around that oval, so I'm just using my scissors to trim off the little bits of that acetate that kind of overlap the edges of the card. Super easy, it cuts nice and easy, and easy to get that out of the way. I think I just said easy an awful lot of times. All right, there it is on that white card base, so you can see that beautiful image, but we're gonna add that colorful background. And I kind of played with it a couple different ways to pick which version I liked. And I ended up liking that blue on the bottom. I didn't really plan on doing that, but I really liked it better. So now we're gonna go ahead and create our shaker window. So it's time to pull out that foam tape. My foam tape's fairly wide, so I had to trim this into about thirds to get it the right size to go around that window. And you want to make sure you have a nice tight seal, make sure there's no open spaces and leaks for any of your shaker filling to come out. I also ran my powder tool just on the inside of that ever so slightly. And then I'm using some little 3mm sequins, and I'm being pretty generous. I like a shaker with lots of goodies in there. So I put plenty in there, stuck my watercolor background on the back and made sure it was adhered all the way around so there's, once again, no leaks and nothing coming out. And then this is a nice heavy card front, so I'm using score tape because I want to make sure I have a really sturdy tape to hold it onto my card base. I didn't trim that down any smaller, so it's the full A2 size card there. So I'm going to just carefully line that up on all four edges since it takes the whole card front. And then off camera, you've seen me do it a million times, I went ahead and just heat embossed that sentiment on a strip of black, or on a piece of black cardstock, and then I trimmed it down into that thin strip, taped it in place with some temporary easily removable tape so I could trim that down to the exact width I wanted on the back. And then instead of adding foam adhesive, I used up some scrap pieces of cardstock to make a good sturdy, I think I layered about 3 layers of 100-pound white cardstock on that. It just gives it a little bit of a dimension, actually a little less than foam, which I kind of liked because I already had a super thick card because it was a shaker card. All right, and there you go. This card is finished and beautiful and full of fun, sparkly goodness. Thanks so much for coming by. Have a wonderful day.